Hey guys, Keith Sires, Loan Season 7, and we'll talk a little bit about that glorious tap out you saw. So if you haven't watched episode 4, Season 7 yet, I would quit watching this right now. So we're gonna give you about 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. So I've been out here trying to spear a couple fish today and just getting my mind right for, the whole tap out thing, because it took me a long time to get my head around it, and I thought I had it whipped. And now I'm pretty sure that I don't, of course, because you're never ready to go out or, even no matter what happens, you're putting yourself out there for the whole world to see your failure. And that, my friends, is a heavy burden to bear. But, that's just part of it. That's what you sign up for. And I knew that going into it. I knew it was always a possibility. But just really thinking about it, I feel like I was kind of shown as like some kid at maybe camp who was doing all this arts and crafts shit and, just sitting around camp. Nothing could be further from the truth, because what you're not seeing is, I guess, I'm boring. I'm out on that rock peninsula, which was pretty much a rock peninsula. I had like 2 or 3 thickets. My time out there, I think first week or so, I managed to kill 2 or 3 squirrels with a bow, a couple ptarmigan. All my fishing water was really shallow. And I'm not, griping, because I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go, oh my God, sit down and throw a fit over that shit. Not going to happen. You just duck your head and you keep on keeping on. You keep hitting plans from other angles and just seeing what you can come up with, your problem solving. It's basically a huge problem and a huge mathematical equation when it comes down to calories. I'd say my best day, I took in 400 calories. And that's a huge deficit. You're going in the whole time. So one thing that, as far as food was, what I was mainly consistent off of was the squirrels, the little Arctic squirrels. I never saw a rabbit sign of any sort, and I walked out of bounds twice that they made me aware of. There just weren't any snowshoes in my area, and I was kind of dependent on that. Little squirrels, not very big at all. I'm guessing, the equivalent would be eating 4 or 5 pieces of non-salted beef jerky a day. And by pieces, I'm talking some small stuff. But that was about it, man. I ate a lot of blueberries. They were everywhere. Stored a lot of cranberries, blueberries. Low bush cranberries kind of messed with my stomach. The acidity of them did a little bit, so I would boil them down, kind of eat cranberry mush. But, all that being said, there were big game sign wise. I had a lot of black bear sign when I first got there, because the blueberries in my spot had kind of peaked, and I was super stoked. I do quite a bit of black bear hunting. Had some close encounters with black bears. Never been around grizzlies, but black bears definitely don't shake me up too bad at all. I've been bluffed by mama black bears with cubs and all that fun stuff. So I was really looking forward to the opportunity, which I would go out on my rock there and sit for hours and hours on end, because my place was so clear, as far as not a lot of trees, not a lot of brush. I could see for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yards. So I would just sit and watch and wait for something to move and try to stay downwind of the area I was doing a lot of spotting and stalking. And unfortunately, that does not make good television. As far as the fake tap out thing, that kind of bit me in the ass. Little backstory on that, that was med check day. I kind of given the safety guys and the camera guys a little hell when they pulled up about, I thought they would bring me a pizza, because I would have gave them $80 for pizza that day. So I wasn't really even I think that was tattoo day as well. I wasn't feeling bad at all. I was, just run down, but going home was the furthest thing from my mind. Uh, I definitely wasn't even missing home, much, no more than what I think any other person would. My wife is here. She grew up in Alaska. She was actually at boot camp, competed against me for a spot on the show. So I knew she was more than capable of handling everything at the house until I got back. So that was never, ever really a worry of mine. So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of what I really think, more than anything took me out. Was it the tattoo? No, not the tattoo. I've given several primitive tattoos. Believe it or not, I have one or two or 20. Never had any kind of adverse reaction to any of it. And that is an extremely, I would say, good environment as far as not conducive to really supporting any kind of infection. So that wasn't really a worry. That was one of those things I was going to do pretty much no matter what. And the weather was starting to turn to where you didn't want a whole lot of skin exposed for any length of time. Matter of fact, I had a fire blazing when I did that. So at that point, I felt like it was one of those now or never things. Now, as far as real sickness, that didn't come till, just a little bit later. And what you don't get to see, and these guys are condensing all this down. I mean, so much footage. But I think honestly it was more ketosis shock or ketosis flu from the diet, really. I put on quite a bit of extra weight to come up there. Wasn't having a whole lot of luck in the fish sector. The one fish you saw me catch was all that I caught. I had a few close, but just no cigar, as they say. You would see them, you would hook them, and you would lose them. Net wasn't really paying off for me. So, I'm, as I said before, just subsisting off very little protein and berries. I didn't even have a whole lot of fireweed. Eating a little bit of yarrow root, and really that was probably about all the carbs I was getting, other than the rock tripe and the reindeer moss. And neither one of those agreed with me at all. Even the boiling them out, to get the acidity out of them, I would still have really bad acid reflux at night, and I don't have any digestive problems really, especially along those lines. So that was starting to get to me. But what you didn't see, and I wish they had shown more of a couple days before, like day 20, I think it was, we had a pretty good storm coming in, and a lot of high wind and that type thing, a little bit of snow. So I'm trying to get some wood laid back, chopping wood, and man, I'm getting this lactic acid pump in my arms and in my back. I can't shake it. It's almost like back in the day when I used to climb, get a real good climber's pump, and it takes a few hours to shake that lactic acid out, but my body wouldn't clear it. So I'm having trouble with cramps and all that type thing there. That was day 20-ish. So this goes on for a bit, and I decide that, hey, I got a few problems here. What I think about more than anything is I don't want my traps, out if something happens to me. So I kind of had it in my head, hey, dude, get your traps pulled up, take a break, concentrate more on fishing. Let's see what day, I don't know, I think I put day 25 on it. That was like a Saturday. I said, let's see what happens there. Maybe you can, kind of rest a bit and start over. So I pulled most of my traps that day. Had a little bit of problems. Had just a touch of vomiting, not much, really. Then, let's see, day 21. Day 21, I didn't do a whole lot. Pulled some more traps, kind of chilled around camp a little bit. That night, snow woke me up. I'll say that night, it was probably early that morning, probably about 5 o'clock that morning. I had a little snow blowing in the eave of where my smoke vent was. There in my shelter, I heard it hit my sleeping bag, and I'd had the dream about eating a rotten pumpkin pie, which I think was just kind of like a precursor to my nausea. So I go outside, threw up a little bit there, and I think I mentioned that even in the after show. Get up that morning, drink a little bit of water, decide that I'm gonna pull the short string of traps. So I go out and do that, pull the short string. Like I said, at this point, I'm thinking, well, you know, take a break, dude. Maybe catch a few fish, push out a little further here in a few days, and we'll just reset and go from there. And things, as I was out on the trap line, the cramps got progressively worse. And got back, you know, I had that little bit of broth left, and I thought, man, I think you even see me there laid out on the rock because I am just gassed. You know, I had to take a break to turn around and make the haul back to camp. But anyway, I get to camp, take the broth in, and you know, it wasn't just a minute or two, and it was just straight back out. So sat around there, drank a little bit more, straight back out. Was having trouble holding water down even. So at that point, you know, my abdominal cramps were crippling, for lack of a better word. I mean, I was doubled over, and you know, nothing's worth that. You know, I don't really even know exactly what's going on. So what you don't get to see, other than my projectile vomiting on screen, is when they get me loaded up, you know, I'm dry heaving pretty hard for the ride back. Don't really have anything left in my system. I get back to the base camp, medic checks me in, and he's like, all right, man, we're gonna give you, I think it was Grayville shot, to try to get the cramping stopped and to get to where I can actually hold something down. I get some fluid, get some electrolytes in me, and they give me pretty much ultimatum, you got about an hour, you know, where you can get where you're stable and you're holding some stuff down, or your next trip is going to be on a bush plane to Yellowknife to the hospital. And luckily, you know, my buddy Ben, great medic there at camp, he gave a few shots in me. We held some liquid down, and I think in 24 hours I rehydrated 6 pounds, which was just crazy to me, but I was, you know, that dehydrated. But out there, we're all dehydrated and we don't even realize it. It's a pretty crazy environment to be in as far as the amount of water consumption you're taking in and what you actually think you're doing. But that's pretty much the long and the short of it. And then, you know, even after that, you're not going home. I was there 9 days, I think, in refeeding, because, you know, the one thing you want to do is eat, and if you eat anything, you're pretty much going to do a lot of damage and or worse at that point. So they were really great about the refeeding program, very structured, got me up and going, and it took me, man, it took me probably 4 months, I think, to get my gut biome reset. Sorry there. But, you know, just a lot of things that never bothered me before as far as being able to eat or just intestinal problems stuck with me for several months. It was probably March or April this year, really, before I got lined completely back out. And, you know, I know a lot of people were pulling for me. I know a lot of people wanted to see more of me, but that's just the way it goes. I mean, the show was very, very real. I think I've said that a million times, but it's very real situations. Really, guys, that's about all I got on it. If you want to ask some more questions in the comments below, feel free to. I'll get back to it when I get a chance. Try to answer most of them. I'm not going to answer questions about Arctic hammocks or making 4,000 foot of net out of 2 20 by 20 tarps that we do not get. We'll not answer any of that nonsense. But if you got legitimate questions, I would be more than happy to try to answer them. And please hit the old subscribe button, hit the like, because there's definitely a lot more to us here than just the Alone Show. We do some pretty cool stuff, and we do some pretty cool stuff with other people that were on the Alone Show and other shows. And just a whole lot of cool people in general. But hey, I appreciate all you guys watching the show and supporting us here on this YouTube channel. And remember, whatever you do in life, have no regrets. Till next time.